end of this tornado warning that is occurring. And like I said, with this system, we are experiencing lots of rain and hail as well as lightning. So we won't be able to see what is happening. I'm going to go further down to the south here and show that other severe thunderstorm warning that we're experiencing just near Burlington. That's going to be in effect here for about a few more moments here for our people home that are just a little bit south of Burlington. This severe thunderstorm system is going to be moving out. We're seeing a decrease in the hail with this system as I've been tracking it throughout the time, a decrease in that hail. As it's getting closer towards Roseville, this has now been extended till 6:30, this severe thunderstorm warning. And this is the first of many possible rounds that we could have tonight for some severe storms. Now, I just want to bring up our map with the alerts that we have out currently. The entire Quad Cities area, we are all under a severe thunderstorm watch for tonight. So this is just the beginning. We're going to be seeing these strong storms make its way into the area until around the early hours of your Monday. Round one, about 3 systems that's going to be coming through the area. So just prepare. Definitely want to stay weather aware and have our Storm Track 8 weather app downloaded as well, just in case you're not able to reach us. If you lose power to watch us live, you can still get contact. You can still get vital information. Now let's go back to that storm, that tornado warning system. That's just a little bit to the west of West Liberty that we're seeing. Still broad rotation. That system's really heading towards Rochester, Tipton, that West Branch location. This brightness, we're seeing the broad rotation with that system. Let's go back and look at our debris map to see if we see anything that's possibly being picked up. As of now, as I look at this map, we're not really seeing lots of blues, which is a good thing. When we see the blues, that means debris is being picked up, and could be possible tornado on the ground. We're still just seeing that low. We're in the reds, the yellows, that none range. Not really a lot of whites, which is really good. Now, this tornado warning here is going to be until 6:15 in the area. Now, near West Liberty, it has been reported that there's hail of up to golf ball size. That's 1.75 inches of hail. That has just been reported by the National Weather Service. So let's pull up that hail probability map. Not surprising, we're seeing a lot of high extremes. The hail tracker, we do see that green on the screen. That does correlate to around 2 inches or so, or just a little bit above 1.75 inches of hail. So if you are in the Muscatine area as well, that system is making its way towards there. We're seeing hail up to 1.75 inches. That is golf ball size hail. Now, the tornado warning is going to continue for Rock Island and Muscatine until 6:15. The National Weather Service wanted to let us know that. It was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over at the Salisbury Bridge campground. That's about 9 miles northwest of Muscatine, and it's moving southeast at a direction of 35 miles per hour. So this is a slower system that is moving. It's moving in the southeast direction at 35 miles per hour. So bringing back up that tornado warning system here. That's just a little bit of West Liberty, lasting into about 6:15. Like I said, the velocity graph that we saw, still seeing pretty big, broad rotations with that, some light green. Okay, so we're seeing kind of like a decrease in that. The National Weather Service still says it's going to continue that until 6:15. They have not expired it yet, but they have canceled the tornado warning for Cedar as well. That has been canceled, that tornado warning. So if you have any people in Cedar, if you're watching in Cedar County, that has been expired. We're going to continue to have the severe thunderstorm warning be issued as well. We're seeing winds up to 60 miles per hour, hail up to 1 inch. This is for Hancock, Henderson County, Warren County. This is going to last until 6:30 p.m. So looking back at our Cape, we did have a very warm day today here in the Quad Cities. We did have temperatures reading in the 90s just at the start of our 5:30 show when I did our first weather, and not surprising, look at all the energy and heat that we were experiencing. It's especially down to our south, and as we go throughout the nighttime, we're seeing that energy is going to be sticking around as well as we look at the 3-hour Cape. As we see the Cape continuing throughout the night, it's going to continue to stay here in the area, kind of decreasing around the 8 o'clock hours. Then we finally see that decrease, but Right now, that cape is still here for like the next couple of hours. We did have a warm front that was to the north of us along Interstate 80. Not only did it provide us with that warmth, so we're seeing lots of energy, lots of heat here as we go into the night. It's also going to provide us with dew point temperatures that are going to be in the 60s. Now, that's providing moisture as well, one of the ingredients that we need for these storms. So I'm going to bring up our current dew point temperatures just so we can get an idea of how much available of that we have here in the area that's due to the warm front that is to the north of us. That's going to stay. We see those dew point temperatures are in the 60s. As you make your way further to the south, we're seeing lots of that energy as well. Another reason why we're having these severe thunderstorms that's going to last with us as we go throughout the nighttime. The tornado warning issues a tornado warning, the National Weather Service for Henderson County and Warren County till 6:45. So that just got issued. I'm about to bring up the map so we can see on the map where it has been issued here. Bringing up that map. One moment. It's just loading right now. We're going to get that map and get the updated on there. I'm not seeing, let's see if it's going to pop up yet. There we go. It's further down to our south. There we go. So this has been issued to 6:45. This system has now produced a tornado warning until 6:45. Let's bring up the velocity map and see if we're seeing anything, if you're seeing any types of broad rotation that is occurring. As of now, I'm not really seeing too much broad rotation. The National Weather Service says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Terre Haute, about 12 miles south of Burlington, moving east at 15 miles per hour. So as we see several there have also been spotter reports currently seeing a funnel that is northwest of Macomb. They're issuing a tornado warning for that area as well. As we look back here, though, this system that's just a little bit south of Burlington, as we can see this tornado warning until 6 p.m. We're seeing some possible maybe broad rotation with that system. We do see the darker greens towards the bottom that has produced this. Let's pull up the debris map. I'm pretty sure we're not going to really see any blue on there, which is a good thing. That means there's nothing being picked up and thrown in the air. I see some specks of blue, mainly, so there could be maybe a possible tornado warning happening, or funnel spin up that's happening. There are some blues, but mainly we're seeing lots of reds, yellows, and that's what we want to see. Just a few specks of some blue with that system. So let's just put a timer on this so folks can know when they need to take cover. Like I said, the system is moving east at 15 miles per hour. So we're going to put the cone on there and we're going to draw out the system so people can already get into their safe places. This is the nighttime here in the Quad Cities. So definitely when there's a tornado warning, definitely want to get into your safe spaces. You will not be able to, see the tornadoes as we get later into the night, especially if they're rain wrapped, and we're experiencing lots of hail with this system as well. So this system is going to be moving east at 15 miles per hour as we drag it out and looking at those hometowns. Roseville, about 8 minutes. Definitely want to get into your safe space. Scottsburg, Bushville, Ellisville, with this tornado warning system that's going to last until 6:45 p.m. We do now, the tornado warning for Muscatine and Rock Island has now been canceled by the National Weather Service. That is a good thing. Now we're only having this tornado warning that is just a little bit south. That I'm showing you on your map right now. That's a little bit south of Monmouth. That's occurring until 6:45, moving at an easterly direction at 15 miles per hour. Going back and looking at our systems overall, we still have several severe thunderstorms. There we go. That tornado warning now has been taken off the map. We just have one that is issued. We do have this system to the north. As you can see, lots of lightning strikes occurring with severe thunderstorms warnings extending all the way here into the Quad Cities. Now, this system, we're going to be seeing lots of hail. We've already had reports up to golf ball size hails with this system. So let's pull up the hail map to just see. This is what is coming out of the sky with this system and has been known to produce very large hail. So when around an inch, we have around dime-sized hail. There's little damage with that system, and then as it gets higher, we can see more damage. Now with that golf ball size hail, that's 1.75 inches. of hail that's falling. That can cause damage to your exterior, to your homes. It can put dents in your vehicles. So if this storm is not yet in your path and you can see that you're ahead of this path, as I bring up this map, if you could pull your cars into your garage, or if you have an underway that you can put them in, as the system now makes its way closer to the Muscatine cones, or Muscatine and further to the east, that'd be a great thing for you to do. Definitely want to try to prevent some of that damage from happening, because the system has been known to produce some large hail. Going back and looking at that hail probability, it's still very strong. We're also noticing an increase in that system down to our south as we look at the very southern end of Warren County near Burlington and Galesburg, Knox County, where we do have that severe thunderstorm warning and possible tornado warning. That tornado warning that is lasting until 6:45. I am seeing an intensification of hail as well with that system. We're seeing lots of pink on that map. That's extremely high. Looking at the hail probability, let's see the increase. It's also increased as well. The oranges has gotten wider. Earlier there was a little bit, some dots, but now we're seeing that start to expand. Now that tornado warning, pulling up that velocity map, because that's in that same area that we're seeing just a little bit south of Roseville. So zoom in, seeing some bright greens, or a little bit of some greens, maybe some rotation happening, a possible funnel cloud that is occurring. The National Weather Service has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Burrough, Henry, Rock Island, Whiteside, and Clinton and Scott County. This is going to last till 6:45, so that has been issued. We now have that canceled tornado warning for Muscatine and Rock Island. That's the severe thunderstorm warning I was just telling you about. That's what we're hearing on our radio here at the station. That's another way that you can get some information as we go throughout the night. It's going to be a very active night here. This is one round. We could see potentially 2 to 3 more rounds making its way into the area. So our storm tracking weather app is a great way that you guys can get contact with us, and we can do that as well. Of course, we'll be here live at News 8, definitely informing you. And if you have a weather radio, that would be great. Definitely want to have multiple ways to get your warnings tonight as we're going into this nighttime hours, and this is when we're really going to see some systems pop up for tonight. Going back to the north, we have that severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued, as we can see, extending a good portion of the north part of our county and our viewing area. Still have that tornado warning down to our south. Now we're including other counties, like I said, Whiteside County, Burrough County, these severe thunderstorms. So we're seeing hail size up to an inch. That's around dime size hail. Let's just put up the hail tracker to see what's happening, the probability of the hail with these systems. We're seeing some growth now. You're seeing blues and some purples. So we're going into that high to the low end of that extreme range. Hail, like I said, big concern for tonight. Seeing some yellow. As you look very north here of the Quad Cities, we can see we're getting some inches. We even see some dots of green just a little bit north of Pleasant Valley, just further north of LeClaire. We're seeing some green on the screen. That's between about 1.5 inches of some hail. So these systems are producing some very strong hail. We're still seeing dime size hail as we make our way further out to the west, where we do have that new severe thunderstorm issued until 6:45 p.m. That's what we're seeing happening there with those hail systems. We still have that tornado warning though down to the south, so let's go back in and check on our folks who are still down there. We're hearing a report of a tornado on the ground, but this is from Owen McCormick. He's out there. He's on the. He's saying that there's possible tornado on the ground, but they think it's just dust being picked up at the surface. This is in Muscatine County. Muscatine County did have a tornado warning issued earlier today, but that had been canceled just a few moments ago. We do have a storm train spotter spotting hail around an inch. This is in Johnson County happening. So we are seeing lots of hail with the systems that's making its way into the area. So zooming back out, looking further down to our south near the far southern end of like Warren County, as we can see Knox County, just a little bit south of Roseville. We still have that tornado issued happening until 6:45. This is a radar indicated tornado that caused this warning. That's the reason why it's still there. As we're loading up the velocity map, we're just going to take a look at the velocity to see what is occurring there. We're still seeing some light greens that's occurring with that system. That's in that tornado warning. Still some light greens that's occurring. So some possible maybe low-hanging cloud, a broad rotation. Okay, we could see maybe a little bit something, maybe a funnel cloud we're starting to see right here. Let me circle this for you in one moment. I'm going to pull up the tracker so I can circle for you, maybe kind of like right here in this area. That is the arrow, not the pencil, but that's where we're possibly seeing some of this rotation that's happening right there with that tornado warn system that has been radar indicated. As we look, we are getting reports of hail of 1/2 inch. This is going to be in LeClaire, Scott County. That's what we're getting reports of, 1/2 inch. That's hail that's happening there. Again, lots of hail with this system, but yes, this is where we're seeing that tornado warning until 6:45. I'm going to track out the system for you. It's moving easterly at 15 miles per hour. So I'm going to zoom out so that way I can put the tracker on it, and then I can let folks know where they need to get into, when they need to get into their safe place, as if this tornado warning continues here for about the next 30 minutes. Putting the cone on this tracker, we're going to go out. It's moving east, like I said, 15 miles per hour. Prairie City in about 25 minutes. Ellsville in about 34 minutes. So definitely want to stay weather aware and be prepared to go into your safe place, as this system that has been tornado warned will be making your way into your area here in just about a half an hour or so, depending on where you are located. So we are seeing lots of hail with this system. A lot of with the severe thunderstorms as you make your way further to the north, lots of lines happening. Hail probability map, we're going to pull that back up, see if I'm seeing any strengthening. Still seeing some strengthening. Now, earlier near the Quad Cities, we're starting to see some pink, even some whites, putting us in that extreme range near LeClaire. So we are seeing the strengthening in the updrafts with this system. That's bringing us some white. We're also with that system that's down to the south near Roseville. This is where that tornado warn system is at currently until 6:45. We're seeing an intensification of hail with that system. So we are seeing some growth. Let's see if we see any increases in the hail size that we have been experiencing with these systems. We're seeing some yellows now. That's around an inch, so around like dime size hail that we're occurring as you zoom in further to the south near Roseville with that system. So we're seeing some strength there. We are though seeing some decreases though with the system that's a little bit north of Muscatine. Now this system, we've been tracking it since it was further out west near Iowa City. We're seeing lots of green on the map. We've even had a storm reporter tell us with this system that we saw around 2.5 inches of hail. We did see some golf ball size hail with this system. That was reported with this system, as well as it's continued to move further to the west and get closer here as it's continuing to make its way through Muscatine County and eventually getting here into the far northern part of Scott County as well. It's still in Cedar County affecting you guys as well. Wilton, you guys are going to seeing some hail probability. So that's a good thing that we're seeing a decrease with this system, seeing more yellows and oranges, not so much green. We are seeing some increases though in the hail size as you make your way further out to the east near Cleveland County. As you can see a little bit further north, we're seeing some green with this system. That's about a 1.5, 1.7 inches of rain. So producing lots of hail. If you are north of Cleveland, for sure, hopefully you were able to bring your cars in and hopefully everything is protected, but we're just really seeing some hail with this system. As we go towards Atkinson, we're seeing an increase in that as well, starting to see a few greens on the map. In Bettendorf, a train spotter reports hail of a nickel size, dime to nickel size. That's what the National Weather Service is reporting. So lots of hail with this system. One of the main concerns that we had coming into today was hail and damaging winds. Of course, we couldn't rule out possible tornadoes. As you guys know, we've already had some tornado warnings, and we still have tornado warnings that's in effect until around 6:45 as you make your way further down to the south. So with around 1.5 to 1.75 inches, we're seeing up to possible golf ball size hail, cause damages to your houses and your vehicles. So hopefully we're able to bring them in. And like I said, we're not done with this system just yet. The National Weather Service has a severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock, Henderson, and Warren County. That's going to be lasting until 6:30. We're just letting that know, about 15 more minutes left on that system. Let's go back down to the south and look at our radar. We have that tornado warning system. That's towards the far southern end near Warren and Knox County. That's happening. That tornado warning system is going to be lasting until 6:45 p.m. Here, let's pull up the velocity map and see if we see any issues happening. The National Weather Service did say it's going to continue the tornado warning for this area. At 6:15, a thunderstorm producing a tornado was located over Raritan. That's about 13 miles north of Macomb, and it's moving now east at 20 miles per hour instead of 15 miles per hour. So it's sped up a little bit from earlier when it was moving east at 15 miles per hour. So that's the most recent update from the National Weather Service for this tornado warned area, as we see as on your map. Now, looking at the velocity of this system, we're seeing maybe still some bright greens as you make your way further down to the south. This bright green, some broad rotation, low-hanging funnel clouds happening. Like I said, if you're in this tornado warned area, go ahead and take cover. It's 6:16 and it's very cloudy. We're going to start to be able to see losing visibility, and you do not want to be out trying to look at these storms, see these storms, get pictures. Don't want to do that. Get into your safe place, take cover, just in case, because we are getting into the nighttime hours, and severe weather at night, it can be very dangerous. Just since we're talking about where to go, where to shelter with that tornado warning, it's really good for you to get down into the lower level of your house. That's where it's best to go. You don't want to be outside or in your garage or at the top in the attic. You want to be as low as you can possible. If you do have a basement, the basement is a good place. If you do not have a basement and you have like a one-level house, you want to get down to that lowest level, get into the interior of your household. You want to put as many walls between you and outside, getting into a hallway or a closet. You can get into your bathtub with you as well. So these are places where you would want to shelter. Now, the National Weather Service has a train spotter that has a reported hail of a quarter size. This is in Rock Island County near Barstow. So lots of hail happening with this system. Looking at our storm reports maps from recently, we're seeing some gusty winds happening. Of course, lots of hail with these systems, and I continue to see that continuing as we go into the night. We're getting now wind gusts from an NWS employee in DeWitt. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour with this system as well. So a little breezy also. Let's go back to our live radar. So we still have that tornado warned area further down to the south. That's going to still last until 6:45 p.m. We do see two now severe thunderstorm warnings happening. This is including the immediate Quad Cities, Geneseo, Princeton, seeing Muscatine in Aledo as well with this system that's happening. We do have a storm reporter that's in Swan Creek, that's in Warren County. A train spotter is issuing reports of hail up to pea-size hail with that system. So lots of hail that is occurring, and these severe thunderstorm warnings are lasting until 6:45, and we have another severe thunderstorm warning that's lasting, including Muscatine here. That's going to be until about 6:30, I believe. So check and see if they added any updates to it here in the area. That Muscatine one's happening to around 6:45. For sure. And then as we go further down to the south, we still have that tornado warned area that's occurring. That's within a severe thunderstorm warning as well. Looking at our availability, our CAPE, we still have lots of energy on the map. It was a very warm day here today in the Quad Cities. We actually did break a record. Last I checked the temperatures, we were at 91 degrees. Now, did we get above 91 degrees? I will check that here later on tonight when we get the official readings in. So we did break a record here today in the Quad Cities. A lot of warmth here in the area, providing us with a lot of ingredients for the storms that we're going to be experiencing tonight. tonight, and we have a long night ahead. It's only 6:20. We're going to be expecting these storms lasting until the early hours of your Monday. So multiple rounds still going to happen here in the Quad Cities. As we look at our CAPE for the next 3 hours, we're going to start to see a decrease in the energy, so taking away some of that ingredients, but still very warm. We do have dew point temperatures tonight that's going to be in the 60s, so we still have moisture here in the area. We are going to go back and look at the map here and see what warnings we still have out. We still have that tornado warning out until 6:45. We still have the 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that's happening, lots of hail happening with these systems. That's going to continue. I can hear the sirens outside, actually here just outside the station. That's happening with the systems that are about to come into the immediate Quad Cities here. As we look at that tornado warning system, let's go back just a little bit further south of Rhodesville, seeing that broad rotation where we see that green happening. Like I said, could be a funnel cloud, a low-hanging cloud. Looking at the debris map, let's see if we see anything with the debris happening. We're seeing lots of the yellows, the reds. That's a good thing. Like I said, with these debris trackers, this is a good indicator. If we do potentially see a tornado occurring, when we start to see blues on that map, that means there's debris getting kicked up into the air, which is usually an indication that we do have some type of tornado possibly on the ground. But the debris map here, it's looking very good. We're seeing the yellows, the reds, and the pink, which is what we would like to see. So it's probably just some with the broad rotation as well. So the Moline Eagle Eye, we are showing you outside. We're starting to see those clouds build into the area. It was a beautiful sunny day today. Like I said, those temperatures got up into the low 90s, sunshine here in the area. So it was a great afternoon. We do have an active night ahead. This active night is going to continue into the early hours of your Monday. Some of you guys may still need the raincoat as you walk out the door for school and work tomorrow morning. But as we look back at the debris tracker with that tornado warned area, that's going to continue until 6:45. So hail probability, let's see, we're seeing growth in the hail probability. Now these systems to the north and to the south as well, that's that tornado warned, seeing some growth with hail. One of the biggest concerns with this system that is occurring. We have a weather spotter that is in Ollie. They reported quarter size hail. So that's a little bit further to the south of us. We're still seeing hail down there as well, as those systems are a little bit south of our viewing area. Increases in the probability of hail. Now we have this system that's a little bit north of Muscatine. This system has been producing a lot of hail, a lot of strong updrafts as it's made its way across Iowa and getting here into the Quad Cities. We did see up to golf ball size hail with this system. So this system is capable of producing some hail. Let's go ahead and put the tracker on it so cities can know when to expect this really strong system that has been capable of producing some hail. We can see here it's moving, and then we're going to drag it out. Like I said, Quad Cities is going to be here in just a few minutes, about 20 minutes, 15 minutes, getting to Geneseo in about 41 minutes. So if you're in the path of this system, hopefully you're able to bring your cars inside to provide them with some safety, because this system has been known to produce some big hail with it. We're seeing growth also with the severe thunderstorm warning that's affecting Borough, Henry County as well, Whiteside County. We're seeing growth with this as well, seeing some more pinks, even some blues just a little bit north of Princeton here in Anawan as well. Pulling up the growth with that. We're seeing also some growth just a little bit north of DeWitt, south of Maquoketa. This system's making its way towards Charlotte, so growth with the hail with this system, strong updrafts, hail size tracker. We're seeing, we did see a little bit of green earlier, and there's that green right there, just a little bit north of Cleveland, this system right here. So that green is about golf ball size hail. That's about 1.5 to 1.75 inches of some hail that is currently occurring. We are getting reports of wind damage here in Brighton, that's in Washington County. A 12-inch in diameter tree was blown down. So these winds are very strong with this system. One of the concerns that we did have making its way into the area was those strong winds. Pulling up the storm reports, we do see some damaging wind maps, damaging winds as well as the hail that's happening with the system. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's happening now for Des Moines, Henry, Jefferson, Louisa County, Washington County until 7 p.m. This has been updated by the National Weather Service. We're getting winds up to 60 miles per hour. We're getting hail of above an inch. That's the National Service. Right now, we're using our weather radio. Hopefully you do have a weather radio. It's a great tool to have as we go into the nighttime hours, so that way you can stay getting notifications. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see, it's been issued. That's going to last until 7 p.m. here in the area that I just read. That system, we're seeing lots of hail. So let's pull up the hail probability map. I kind of showed you that earlier. We did see some re-intensification of the hail. Pinks are happening, yellow or whites are happening, putting us in that extreme range. Any growth in the hail size, really still seeing the oranges and the yellows, putting us around that ½ inch to an inch of hail size that is occurring with that system. But the National Weather Service has extended that warning until 7 p.m. As we look to our east, though, we're still seeing lots of yellows, even some greens now happening just a little bit north of Atkins. That's happening. That's around a 1.75 to about 1.5 inches of rain that's occurring. Our trained weather spotter reports hail of a quarter size. This is going to be in Washington County happening. So lots of hail producing systems with this. Looking at our satellite and radar, we still do see that tornado warning system that is down to our south, just a little bit south of Roseville, affecting the far southern ends of Monmouth and Galesburg County. As we see our velocity map, we just see some bright green, so still some broad rotations. That's just a little bit north and south of Good Hope here in that area, still to the west of Prairie City. Our debris map, we see that's a little bit out of our viewing area, but we do see just a couple of dashes of blues possible happening, but that's near north of Good Hope. That's happening with that system. But we still have that tornado warning system that's occurring until 6:45. As we get back into our News 8 viewing area, we're seeing though lots of yellows and reds, and that's what we'd like to see with the storm debris tracker. Now let's see, we have the severe thunderstorm. Now the National Weather Service for 6:45 for Mercer County, Rock Island, Cedar, Louisa, and Muscatine, and Scott County. That is going to continue, not surprising with that hail that we've been seeing. We did see some areas that did get hails around 1.75 inches. That's around golf ball size hail, which is one of the concerns that we did see for tonight. Lots of lightning happening with this system as well, so definitely want to get inside as we go with the air, as these systems make its way into the area. We're getting gusts up to about 62 miles per hour. That's at the National Weather Service, and we have Chief Meteorologist James Zahari here. James?
Yeah, Efridge, and nice job, by the way. The past lot of warnings going on across the area, that's for sure. Did a really good job, in fact, and we'll continue to update you on these warnings and what to expect as we go through the next couple of hours. But yes, we've been getting a lot of reports of a lot of hail, also some pretty strong winds. In fact, there is a threat for some of these warnings that you see here to produce some damaging winds. Maybe upwards of 70 miles an hour or so. So we're going to have efforts kind of work the desk a little bit, work the monitors, and we'll be going to each mode when it comes to reflectivity, velocity, hail, you name it, as we go through the next several hours or so. So once again, let's do this. Let's go ahead and kind of review with all the warnings, and of course we'll stick with this one. Let's go with the one that we just talked about here. Let's scroll that over. There we go. Once again, this severe thunderstorm warning until 6:45. So we got another 15 more minutes of this. Quarter-size hail can't be ruled out. Winds can be estimated around 60, but some estimates could eventually be around 70 miles an hour. So in these situations, when we're talking about those winds that strong, there could be a chance you're going to be seeing some power outages. Right now, I just checked. with Mid-American. Nothing too much going on around the area, but that could change with these winds starting to increase a little bit, rushing down from the storm itself as it makes its way through the immediate Quad Cities and now extending eastward and kind of blossoming its way from west to east with these storms that are all clustered about, producing some of this vivid lightning that's going on and some of this heavy rain. No question, I think most of us would agree, we need the rain. I mean, we need some pretty good rain. We just don't want to get to a point where it's going to aggravate the rivers that are continuing to be rather swollen for the time being. So something we'll have to keep an eye on going into the night and certainly heading into tomorrow. So that's one warning that you see here. Now here's the other one. This is just south and west of the Quad Cities. This is going on for about a half an hour. I think what they did is kind of updated this a little bit. But once again, can't rule out some hailers with this, a good rush of wind, a lot of lightning, and you can see with the reflectivity mode, we're getting some pretty heavy rain out of this as well. This wave that you see here racing its way off to the south and east. First, let's do this. Let's go and put this warning into that velocity mode if we can. And this will actually show us where the intense winds are going on around the area. And then we'll just scroll up here. We'll get that tornado warning in just a second. I just want to see what the velocity kind of mode looks like. Not too bad that we see here. With that other warning that we see, some bright reds maybe indicating that rush of wind coming down from the storm itself. So once again, we'll have to keep an eye on those two threats, the hail as well as the wind with this system. Now let's go down to that. Let's go down a little farther south as we go. And this is another warning that goes on until 7 p.m. Not much of a change with it. Let's go to the reflectivity mode if we can, Etheridge. And if we do, well, we'll go ahead and spot that, and then we'll scroll down to that one warning that we see here that will be covering Louisa, parts of Des Moines, looks like Mercer, and even a little smidgen there of northern Henderson County. Once again, this is until 7 p.m. These storms continue to make their way mainly off to the south and east, possibly around 45 to about 50 miles an hour or so. If we go and actually put a tracker on this right here, just from Winfield, Etheridge, all the way to about Wap. Let's go this. Let's go even farther so we can get Mount Pleasant in here. Go about this right here. And we can hear the sirens going off at the station, by the way. And you can see let's see here.
Sorry.
That's okay,
One
no
moment.
problem. Let's stretch it from Mount Pleasant and right about there, stop, and then extend as we get to Aguanaquaca. And then we can let you know what we're dealing with here. But within the half hour or so, there we go. There we go, perfect. And then we'll pop it up, and we can see Mount Pleasant in just over 5 minutes or so. If you're watching us from Aquaca, hopefully you are making your way into your safe place, over 20 minutes away for you, and then around Gladstone where you got bombarded yesterday. You got bombarded about, 2 hours ago, and now you could potentially see this wave slam its way around your neck of the woods maybe in the next half hour or so. So let's go ahead and delete that now, and then let's go down to that tornado warning, which I'm not sure if it's still right around the Roseville area. There we go. And it looks like they have actually extended that warning now until about 7:15. That covers Bushnell and going into Prairie City as well. Let's actually zoom in a little bit more, and then let's put the reflectivity on. Now, once again, street level mapping, always a good thing here. And you can see there's 30th Avenue, there's 10th. And it seems like if we go ahead and take the lightning out and then put the velocity mode on, then we're going to get an idea if there's any type of that red and green kind of meshing in together. And we're kind of seeing that. Actually, that's really good effort right there, right around there. So there's Prairie City right here. Okay, Good Hope is just south, but the storm is actually is moving off to the southeast. Now, the reason why it looks so pixelated is because the storm is so far away from the beam itself. That beam, the radar beam, actually from the National Weather Service over in Mount Joy. So that's why it kind of looks pixelated. But you can see we got the winds going in toward the radar itself. That's why we're seeing the green. And then we got the red like so. And then this is where likely we're seeing some of that circulation take place and continues to make his way mainly off to the east-southeast. I know I see Avon right behind me, Avon, I think you're going to be okay given the latest track that we see here. But nonetheless, we'll keep your advice. There's always a chance that this could wobble a little bit. And if it does, that's probably why we're seeing this warning out a little bit just west of you guys. There's Avon right there. And there's St. Augustine, there's Prairie City. So we'll keep an eye on that warning as it makes its way just off to the east. Any updates?
Updates, yes. The National Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Henderson and Warren counties. That has been issued at 6:34.
Very, very good. And let's go ahead and expand it out a little bit more, and then let's go back to that reflectivity mode. So some very busy weather going on. This is really no surprise. We kind of talk about two waves that were coming in this weekend. The one from last night was going to be very much locally. I should say more very small clusters and mainly south of the Quad Cities, which actually took place. This was the evening that I was a little concerned about, given the amount of heat and humidity that we had. We had temperatures that did reach, I believe, 90 for the daytime high. We even threw in a lot of humidity. Dew points were in the 60s. We had some good shear going on ahead of the boundary that's making its way through the area. So all the ingredients are just waiting in the wings as far as producing a nice little cluster of some showers and thunderstorms, and some that could eventually become severe as well. We're going to get an update. I think we got a warning, another warning here. Okay, go ahead.
No, I could just say we're getting gust reports up to 58 miles per hour. That's here in the immediate Quad Cities. That's been recently updated. Let's see, we were trying to find if there is a warning that has been.
They did issue a warning until 7:15. Now let's go up to that warning right around the immediate Quad Cities. Oh, I think what they did is they extended that warning just south of the Quad Cities into eastern Mercer and going into Henry County as well. Let me see here. Henry, Mercer, Rock Island, Warren, Louisa, Muscatine. Yeah. So what they did is they are. I'll get back on here. We can show you. So this is what we're looking at here. So what they did is they extended this warning just a little bit more. This one's until 6:45. This one is until 7:15. And they're really concerned about the winds that are going to be gusting around maybe 70 miles an hour or so. And the potential there for some hail as well. But that's always a big concern when you're talking about the speed of the storm and then the winds from the storm itself. So you kind of do a little math, and that's why they're looking at maybe 60 or even 70 mile an hour wind gusts. That could very likely cause some damage, could very likely cause some power outages. So hopefully you have everything prepared in case the power goes off, having those fully charged flashlights ready to go. Make sure you have your app as well, the News 8 Storm Track 8 app. Great tool to have. You can be interactive with it, meaning you can zoom into your location, see the storm, see the warnings. Always a great tool to have when you're dealing with these situations, especially if you do happen to lose power, okay? So that's always a big concern when you're dealing with this line of very strong to severe thunderstorms that are just encompassing most of our area right now. But keep in mind, this is a threat of some very damaging winds and maybe some hail, but really the main threat, damaging winds. And there could be a little bit of a spin up with this particular line. But right now, I think any type of a potential maybe spin up is going to be in any of the discrete cells that are ahead of this line that we see here. And that's a great example that we're seeing just south and east of Roseville with that tornado warning that's going on for just over another half an hour or so. And right now, indications are it's going to stay just to the south, staying away from Galesburg. Galesburg, I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to have to be concerned about this wave that you see right here. We're going to get some nice rainfall out of this. No question about it, because these storms are not moving that quickly. You're likely getting maybe some good rainfall amounts around a half, even 3/4 of an inch at least. There could be some local areas that may be a little bit heavier than that. We're just waiting on maybe some reports from chasers that are out there that may be giving us some hints as far as the intensity of the rains and maybe how much has fallen in these particular areas. Just wanted to let you know that in Iowa City, these storms that were very discrete, of course, ballooned into this particular line that you see here. And I know close to 5,000 customers are without power now over in Iowa City. A lot of lightning that took place, had some hail, and even had some pretty strong winds that were recorded maybe close to 70 miles an hour. So these are all the storms that we're watching. Not surprised with all the warnings that are getting ahead of this system, just to make sure that you are aware of the situation that's taking place, that you're indoors, you're not going out and trying to find these storms. Just make sure that you know where to go in case things really get kind of wild in this particular area. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go with go with the hail mode if we can. We can go with size and probability. Let's go with probability, and we'll go in and zoom in to parts of northern Henry County, northern Bureau County. And that really stuck out right there. You can see the probability of hail is extreme here, just around, looks like that could be about, I think that's Wolf Road, possibly just north of Wolf Road, just north of Geneseo that you see here. Yeah, great job. I love that effort. Very good right there. There's Geneseo. That's 81 right here. And then there's a hail that is very likely falling here. Now, the size of the hail. What is the size of the hail going on? So I think there is a right next to that probably the hail size mode. Yes. So this is our hail tracker. Now this is a computerized projection, an estimate of when it's actually falling. So we kind of look at the green, and there's actually even a little bit of some blue right there. I would say that's around Hoople right there, outside of Hoople and such, and then just north of Geneseo. So you look at that green, that dark green that you see here. That's 1.5 inches. That's golf ball. That's golf ball that could very likely be falling in these particular areas. So that certainly can cause some damage. And with the fact that these storms are not moving all too quickly, then that's always a concern as well with the rain that may be falling as well. Don't have to worry about so much of the winds that are coming from these particular storms. We can actually go ahead and maybe go to that velocity mode if we can, Efridge, and let's see, get an update on that. There's that tornado warning until 7:15, and let's kind of go to the velocity mode. Once again, we're kind of focusing on the reds and the greens, and they're coming together, the brightness of it as well. And I would say, especially with the red that we're noticing here, we'll get an update from Efridge here in just a little bit. It's going to come on our chat line in just a little bit. But right around Geneseo, that really bright color that you see here coming ahead of the storms, that could mean a good rush of wind that's going on, but not too much taking place east of it. There could be a little bit of rotation going on, just north and west of Hoople right here. We'll keep an eye on that. But otherwise, maybe a good rush of wind, maybe approaching 50 miles an hour from these particular storms. Is there an update now, or a new warning has been issued?
Some updates. There has been spotter reports or weather spotter reports of several trees and agricultural irrigation equipment blown over just a little bit north of near Boston. That's near Lock Dam 17. So with those strong winds that we have been experiencing, we have also seen some hail. We had a 1.5 inch hail that has been indicated as well on that has been reported. That was just a little bit, I have to go back up and try to find it one moment here. That was in, oh my, where was it? It was in reports of gusts. It was just a little bit near, like around Muscatine. That was around golf ball size hail. Okay. So we did have those reported as well with this system. We're getting some pretty strong gusts here. In Davenport, we're getting gusts up to 67 miles per hour. That was at our KDVN station, so at the Davenport Airport. So pretty breezy conditions as well with the systems. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Efridge, on that. Yeah, so a lot of wind coming out of these storms that are popping through. We actually had a pretty decent wind gusts over at the Quad City International Airport, close to 60 miles an hour. I think it was recorded at around 58. So that's the line that has raced its way through. These are observations, official observations that have taken place in the immediate Quad Cities. Let's do this. And we know that we got a whole lot of dynamics going on, indicating about all this lightning. And you can see with all this lightning, that just shows that the storm is still developing even as we speak, turning into a pretty intense line that we see here, that by looking at all these warnings that are going on, are going to continue to make its way off to the south and east. So for anyone who's just tuning in, yeah, it's been a very busy past hour and a half. And of course, we are not quite done until the threat is all said and done. You have another observation?
Oh, and it was the Fairfield, at Fairfield. They were getting up to golf ball size hail.
Golf ball size hail over in Fairfield. Okay, thank you very much. That's just north and just north of the Mount Pleasant area. Let's, boy, I tell you, look at this. It's about good. It looks like about a good half a dozen warnings that are taking place with this particular line. Kind of moved in a bit faster than when I was kind of projecting last night for this wave. We're looking like about maybe 8 o'clock or so in the evening. These have kind of moved in around the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour or so. They're kind of rushing with all that heat and humidity. Just it was able to pop any minute, and that's kind of what has taken place here. So let's do this. Let's kind of remove the lightning that we see here, so our viewers can actually get a good idea as far as the intensity of the storm. And then let's go ahead and still this to what is going on right now. You can see how those storms kind of blossom out of nowhere right along that warm front that produce all that heat and humidity across a lot of our hometowns. And you can see how that line just stretches right near the I-80 corridor, right through the immediate Quad Cities, and then stretching his way north, south and west as you go, right near New Boston and just north of the Mount Pleasant area. So that's the big concern, what we're dealing with this line, in the form of some very heavy rain, some hail, and a good rush of wind. This is what we'll expect from this line. Hopefully we don't get any brief spin-ups. Anything ahead of the storm itself, I think, has a better chance of producing a nice spin-up. That's the one that we've been seeing just south and east of Roseville, and likely will stay away from like areas around Galesburg, Knoxville. I think Illinois, you're just south and east of Galesburg. I think you're going to be fine too from that particular tornado-warned storm that we have just right there on the southern border of Warren County, and eventually be making its way probably eastward, probably near Peoria, likely in the next, I would say, hour or hour and a half or so. So let's go ahead and put all the warnings back up if we can. For anyone who's just joining us, you've probably been hearing all the sirens that have been going on around your neck of the woods. It's been a very busy one at that. And you can see with on the reflectivity mode, a lot of lightning going on with the system, a lot of rain that is taking place as well. Let's go ahead and kind of break down all these warnings that are going on. And we'll start our way up north if we can. Right around Whiteside. I think that's the one. Let's see here. I would say it's close enough. I think that's it. Yeah. It's a big thunderstorm warning that we see here, given the multiple counties that are impacted. So this is one until 7:30. So right now it's 6:47. Good 45 minutes for this warning. The reason why it's that long is because the movement is so slow. So I'm not seeing much as far as the warning being out here. Just because I don't really see much action going on. Maybe we're seeing a little wave of wind here right along the river from Clinton to Savannah. We'll keep an eye on that, but really the focus of the storms are really more south of that, right along and right just near the I-80 corridor. Like I said, all the lightning that is taking place here with this storm, almost like a training effect that is taking place here because of these storms that just blossomed from west to east. You know what? I first just going to do that loop again with the radar, and we'll get an idea. Watch these storms here. They just explode, and given what we're seeing with the loop here, with this line, right there, with everything moving eastward, this is just continues to nose its way from west to east. So we could get some very heavy rain out of this and could potentially lead maybe to some local flash flooding as well. We haven't heard any reports about any blinding rain going on here or any street flooding that may be taking place, but just by the radar alone and the slow movement of these storms, it's just the training that we see here moving from west to east. We're going to get some pretty good rainfall out of this. We had projections this evening and even last night around maybe 1, possibly even 2 inches of rain. I would not be surprised if we saw that much of rainfall within this area here. And then you can see these storms right here that we see just south and west of the Quad Cities. These are racing their way off to the south and east. So those are the storms that will produce some blinding rain, and like I said, a good rush of wind and maybe even some hail as well. And then as you make your way a little farther northward, I would say from Clinton, and I would say points northward, you'll get your fair amount of showers, a few thunderstorms here, but very likely not the severe kind, okay? But you're going to get some nice rainfall around this particular area, maybe a good quarter, half an inch, maybe at best, I see from this wave as it makes its way from west to east. So I would say the northern quarter of Whiteside County going into Carroll and even around Joe Davies County, I think you'll get some nice rain, but I don't believe you'll be on guard about seeing any type of severe weather, but we'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. So once again, this line is actually running in to that heat and humidity that we had today. We did reach around 90 in the Quad Cities. First of the season, we had dew point temperatures in the 60s. The higher the dew point, the more moisture is available. And we haven't had those dew points in the 60s for quite a while. So all the summer ingredients are right there. And all we have to do is just lift that up and produce some very active showers and thunderstorms. And that's kind of what we're dealing with here with this wave as it continues to make its way off to the south and east. Pretty quiet from our chasers and such, and even the chat line or anything that may be popping
They are noticing tree damage in West Liberty
Okay.
from that system that started earlier today. That's what we're noticing so far. That's what's been reported.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and I'll show you that storm that made its way through Iowa City that produced a lot of power outages. It's right there. And then now it's making its way off to the south and east. It's kind of losing a little bit of its juice now. It did have some pretty large hail with this as well, but now kind of losing a little bit of its juice and kind of turning into more of a squall line that we see right here. And then, of course, you have that one line that's kind of extending its way from west to east. Let's kind of zoom in, in the immediate Quad Cities, if we can. There we go. And let's go ahead and kind of put a still on this as we can as well. Nothing that really sticks out that is really pronounced. Just some nice rain that are taking place. Areas just south of the Quad Cities around Orion. I know you've been dying for a little rain. You're going to get it. I don't think it's going to be as intense as what's taking place just off to your north and east. You might be kind of right in the middle of these two bands of some very heavy rain that we see just east of the Quad Cities, just north of Geneseo, Hisdale, and points eastward. And then you see some of that very heavy rain, maybe some hail going on just south and west of Andalusia. Now things calming down in Muscatine, making its way into Mercer County. So you're right here. Preemption, I would say. Reynolds, you're right here. You may just miss out on some not much needed rain, given what we're seeing right now on the radar. Let's go and talk about, once again, the warnings that are going on across the area for people that are joining us. You can see some pretty impressive warning boxes that are taking place with this particular line. One especially right here that could very likely, that's going on until 7:30. You can see how it covers much of Bureau County going to Henry, and then northward as you go into Whiteside County. I'm a little just concerned about how this that we're seeing right here, given the time now, it's just over half an hour or so until this warning's expired, that may be extended. I wouldn't be surprised about that. In fact, we could even get maybe even some local flooding that may be going on as well. But once again, we haven't heard about much of the intensity. I'm not sure, Efridge, if on that palette, if there is something that has to do with the rainfall rate. The rainfall rate. And then actually we can go ahead and pop that up. And we'll find out, folks, what that latest warning is. I think I can get this one here. The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Henderson, Mercer, Warren, and then in Illinois, and then Des Moines, Henry, Jefferson, Louisa in Iowa, and that is until 7:30. So we're getting dollar-size hail that could very likely be expected. This is radar indicated, so the potential for some dollar-size hail, and then the potential for seeing 70-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, so we'll get to that, show you that warning in just a little bit. It'll pop up on our box in just a little bit. But, oh, great, excellent. 3-hour rainfall that you see here. And you can see with the dark greens that we're noticing just from the rainfall itself, that's about good 1 to 2 inches of rain. That's some nice rain that is taking place. Of course, our concerns will be being upstream, the rivers downstream into Burlington, even around Joy and such. Those waters may be aggravated a little bit. We'll see how all that kind of makes its way into the Mississippi in the next 24 hours or so. We'll see how that all transpires. But some nice rains from that line that we see here east of the Quad Cities itself. And given the fact that this may be a kind of a training thing that may be going on, we may start getting a little yellow within portions of northern Henry and Bureau County going into that. So let's go to the warning map if we can and get an update on this. We're going to get a warning probably out for right this area right here. And there it is. There we go. Okay, so let's get that. Excellent. Okay, that's the one until 7. This is really hard. I know this is very difficult because they got these warnings so meshed together, and only because of the slow movement of these storms themselves. It's really a challenge, that's for sure. I think you got it. Oh, and that's for this one. That's for 7:30. Let's just try this here. Let's just try this. And that's, yeah, I know, that's hard. It is hard. I've gone through that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think I can get this for you. So we got, this is Warren County right here. There's Henderson. There's Des Moines, okay? There's Henry. And then we make our way into parts of Louisa County, and there's southwestern Mercer County. So it's kind of in this trapezoid that we see right there, okay? So if you're in Little York, you're in Burlington, I would say around Aquaka, if you're around Monmouth, if you're in Stronghurst, okay? Biggsville, you are under this warning for this line that you see right there, especially this cluster of very strong thunderstorms between Mount Pleasant and Wapello. That's why they got the warning out for these counties, parts of the counties, until about 7:30. Okay, so that's going into more of a southeasterly direction that we see here. So let's do this, let's try and put a tracker from around Wapello all the way to Mount Pleasant, and then given what we're noticing with the way the county, the warning box is up, we'll go south and east. So there we go. Yeah, perfect. Let's pop it up here, and we can tell you back around Burlington, give you a good timing here. You got 20 minutes, okay, about 20 minutes, given the latest speed of this storm, before this storm impacts you. Just over half an hour over in Monmouth, and if it still holds together from around Cookwood, you got about 40 minutes until that storm makes its way into your hometown, okay? Don't try and go chasing out these storms, all right? Because we're talking about a situation here where we're talking about some considerable threat of seeing some damage given the winds that we're talking about. We're talking about the potential maybe seeing some dollar-sized hail from these storms as well. So those combinations can cause some damage. That is why you're hearing the sirens go off, okay? Keep in mind, sirens just don't go off when we're talking about just tornadoes. Sirens are going off because we've had reports of damage from these particular storms, and we want to warn you with the sirens that, hey, don't try and go out and find out where this storm is. It may be quiet in your neck of the woods. It's time to kind of buckle down, get ready to go with the possibility that you may lose power over in your household, given the winds that we're talking about. We could be talking about some tree damage as well. We've had a history with this line of storms of some tree damage here and there as well. Okay, nothing like we had about over a month ago or so with that line that made its way through, but certainly enough to cause some tree limbs to snap, maybe on power lines as well, and thus you lose power, okay? So that's what we're worried about with that particular line of storms that we see just north of the Mount Pleasant area. And that is till 7:30, this box that we see here, okay, right there, all right? And it goes right there. I know it's hard to see, okay? That is until 7:30 or so. Let's go ahead and kind of take this off here. Let's go and actually start updating everyone with the other warnings that are going on. Let's just make our way just a little bit more to the north. There we go. And we're going to take this warning right here. You see that right there? Right here.
Why is it?
I know it's really hard. I'm so sorry.
You know, you're...
Oh, it's tough. Oh, yeah, I think you got it. Oh boy. Well, let's do this. We know that we got a warning out for this area, okay? And I would say given the warnings that are on either side here, we're talking about this until about maybe 7:15 or so, okay? So what we're really concerned about, and we'll zoom in here, this is a line, a cluster of storms that we're watching just outside of Aledo, okay? There's Aledo right there in Mercer County. There's Keysburg. There's Preemption. I think, Aledo, you're in the heart of this part of the storm that will be making its way off to the south and east. And if you're watching us from Alexis, and I got a chance to talk to some great students at United North Elementary, we talked about severe weather. We always talked about, do you have a plan at school? They do. Great. Then I said, do you have a plan at home? And they said, yes. And we talked about the basement. We talked about if you don't have a basement, where do you go? You go in the closet, put as many walls between you and the storm out there. Do you have fresh batteries to go for your flashlights, okay? So this is what we were talking about. So Alexis, I think no question you're under the warning, but you'll see this part of the storm. I think the brunt of it will be making its way in your general direction, okay? We always say if you know where to go, if you planned it out, if you're prepared, then the level of fear goes down, okay? And we all agreed with that, right? Yeah, we all agreed with that when it came to that, and when it came to any approaching storms. As long as you're all ready to go, you're prepared, then you should be just fine. You'll be able to get through this storm with no problem. So we'll be watching that. Now, let's make our way a bit more off to the south and east, or excuse me, north and east, I should say. We'll go right, once again, back to this warning that we see here. And what's interesting is the fact that this hasn't changed in the past 20 minutes, okay? We have been actually seeing just a training of this very heavy, all this lightning that's going on, heavy rain that's going on, likely mixed in with some small hail just outside of Hoople, maybe about golf ball size, because that's the last time we checked as far as the hail size that may be going on, and then just continues to train its way eastward. Look at this cluster that we see. Let's kind of zoom in just northeast of Princeton. And I believe that is around the Mendota area, Lamoille. Yep, there it is. There's Lamoille right there. There's Amboy. There's West Brookline. So yeah, look at that particular storm. All that in tremendous amount of energy. The dynamics are just still blowing up with this particular storm. That's why we're seeing so much of this lightning that is taking place here. And of course, keep in mind, sometimes lightning could be good. When you get all this lightning, it throws nitrogen into the ground and it actually makes your grass nice and green. It actually does that, absolutely does, okay? So it kind of breaks up the N2 out there and it gives us some of that nitrous oxide into the ground. So that's always a good thing here. But look at all that lightning going on right around Lamoille. And that storm continues to make its way off to the east. Princeton, you're fine. Walnut, you're still seeing some very active weather right now, continuing for you with some pretty good rain that we see right there off of Interstate 80 and then extends even farther westward as you go. This warning is until, once again, until about 7:30 or so, 7:30. And anytime we're talking about an inch and a half, that's pretty close to about golf ball size hail. Okay, that's taking place here, okay? And then keep in mind, this is all radar indicated when it comes to not just as far as the hail size, but also the wind as well. Any more updates from our good friends at National Weather Service?
Let's see, National Weather Service. They were talking about we got gusts up to 67 miles per hour in Mount Pleasant. That's what they were gusting. I've been looking at our current power outages here in the immediate Quad Cities. We only have one person in Bettendorf without power, 25 people in Davenport without power. Eldridge has 144 people without power.
Wow.
As we look at Mercer County, only 2 people without power there. So overall, with the system, a majority of people, it seems to be like they're keeping power.
What about Iowa City? Can you?
Iowa City, yes. Iowa City, as of now, they've come down from the 5,000 that you talked about. They're currently at 3,874 people without power.
Oh, very good. Nice job on that. Yeah, especially with the updates going on up in Eldridge, you said, with a number of people that are out with power. Yeah, that's because all this lightning that's going on, and there could have been a nice rush of wind as well, but when you get in with all this lightning, you very likely could get some power outages as well. Let's kind of zoom everything out here. If we can, give everyone a good perspective of what is taking place. We're trying to cover everyone out there, and we apologize if we're not getting enough attention here and there, but we're trying to do the best we can here and giving you all the latest information when it comes to this severe weather outbreak that's taking place.
Yes. The tornado warning has been canceled for Warren and County. As you can see at the map, it's gone as you make your way further south. I know we're watching that system just a little bit south of Roseville. The National Weather Service has canceled that warning.
It looks like they've they changed it into a severe thunderstorm warning, which kind of makes plenty of sense given the fact that that is still a dangerous storm with some very strong winds that are coming down from the storm itself and maybe even some hail as well. Very slow moving system that we see here, all part of the heat and humidity that's built in, and combine that with the warm front, some good shear that is going on, a change in wind speed and with the height and even direction as well. So all the elements all coming kind of together in creating this severe weather event that has been taking place across much of our hometowns, especially around the northern 2/3 of our area. All quiet right now in Kewaunee and Galesburg, but you can see your relationship to the warnings that we have just off to your north and west. I'm a little concerned just about this line that we have right here, just east of the Quad Cities, going into northern Henderson County and Bureau County. I think we're going to get some pretty good rainfall out of this. Let's see, let's do this. In fact, let's go ahead and check out the latest rainfall rate again. And then after the rainfall rate, we'll go ahead and look at the velocity, which determines the wind speeds that are going on with this particular line. And then eventually we'll check out the hail as well. And one of the things that we addressed, given this this kind of training event that has been going on, that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some yellow pop up on our legend. When we look at the legend here, that's 2 to 3 inches of rain in just the past few hours, just north of Geneseo. In fact, let's kind of even zoom in even more and kind of see if we can even bring some towns in play here. Of course, there's Hoople right there off to my right, and not much. This is kind of an open area right here, so that's some fairly good news. You can see where Geneseo is in relationship to some of that very heavy rain that's going on. But the dark green, that's a good 1 to 2 inches that has already fallen at least. These are projections. This is not etched in stone. Keep that in mind. But pretty close. LeClaire, just west of Hillsdale, about 1 to 2 inches that potentially has fallen with this particular line. And then that makes its way eastward into about northern Bureau County as well, with some of about 1 to 2 inches that have taken place. We'll get that information from F-Ridge in just a little bit. Let's go with the velocity mode if we can. And we'll go ahead and bring that out a little bit. Once again, we're kind of looking at any type of connection with the reds and the greens, indicating the rain droplet is moving toward or away from the radar site. A little hard to kind of put this all together here, but where we are seeing, let's see, that's velocity, all right. Kind of interesting to see that. Yeah, that's a lot better. Makes a lot more sense. So we're looking at some pretty intense reds, which is probably the winds that are rushing down from the storm itself. And so you can see in places just around eastern Henry County right here, that's just south of Hoople, but between Geneseo and Mineral, that's probably a good rush of wind coming down. Strong gusty thunderstorm that is going on in northeastern Henry County in Illinois. And then we've got some shades of yellow, some reds and some brighter whites that are going on here just outside of Sherrard. And then as you make your way into Mercer County, just around Aledo, between Alexis and Aledo, very likely getting a nice strong wind gust here. You can almost see in this general area, a little bit of a gust front coming ahead of the storm. Once again, this is in velocity mode, okay? And we're very likely getting a good gust front ahead of the storm itself, okay? And then it kind of trails its way back in this particular line with even another rush that we see here of a strong wind gust coming from the storm itself.
Yes, that tornado, the sound that you heard, that was our weather radio here at the station. Mm-hmm. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has gone until 8 p.m. This includes Bureau, Henry, and Putnam County. So that's.
I think I just saw this pop up right over here. Yep, there it is. Okay. Okay, so this is a warning that has just popped up for parts of Kewaunee. That's also around Galva as well. Just probably for our friends in Buda, and then just south of Princeton, and then making its way even more southeast as you go. So they're giving everyone fair warning with this line that we see to our north that is showing maybe could be showing indication of this kind of sagging more off to the south and east. Actually, let's go ahead and shift everything to the right if we can, and we can get that warning in. This is a little bit too far east. We want to go to that one right here. I know she's going to do it. She's going to do it. I know it. I just know it. Oh, I think you got it.
I think I got it.
I think you got it. I think you did, yeah. And I think this one also kind of includes, this is just an unusual polygon that they put in here. But likely calling, so you got this cluster right here. Let's shift this down a little bit more south. Down to, yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's good. That's okay that we got this here. Don't worry about it. I want to try and show everyone here. And then shift it to the right a little bit, because this is what I want to focus on here. And then we'll try to make our way to the east. So here's Henry County, Illinois. There's Cambridge, Bishop Hill, Kewaunee, Galva right here. Okay, so what they're really focusing on is this cluster of storms that is going to very likely sag its way off to the south and east. Okay, so that's what everyone's concerned about in these areas for this storm. That's going to kind of sag its way south and east, producing that rush of wind that could be around 60 miles an hour and maybe some dollar-sized hail as well. So that's what we're worried about with that particular storm. And then you can see farther east, going into Bureau County here, they're not only talking about that storm, but also this could potentially begin to sag south and east. So keep in mind, the entire county of Bureau under a severe thunderstorm warning for at least the next 45 minutes or so, okay? Everything is kind of moving more off to the south and east. I'd be really surprised if actually it's not, when it comes to this cluster that we see just east of Walnut and looks like just west of Mendota, that's going to stay away. I think that's going to stay mainly off to the east. So these warnings that you see here is likely for this line that we have right here. That's going to be tracking its way off to the south and east. Okay, it's moving around, I believe. And then, yeah, that's it. You got it. That's awesome. Do you know the speed that they gave on this warning? And probably 45 miles an hour, maybe 50?
The speed.
We'll find out here in a minute.
They're not showing. They're just saying winds up to 70 miles per hour
Okay.
with the wind gusts with that warning system at 8 p.m.
Okay, okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a 45, 50 mile an hour movement of this particular storm. So, and given the curvature that we see here, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent line that's going to try and make its way off to the south and east. So all quiet right now around Buda, Kewaunee, Galva, but you know, once again, time to get to your safe place, all right? Be a good idea. Don't try and go out and find out where this storm is. I can just tell you this, it's north of you guys, okay? And you can tell by the way that the sky is nice and dark. You're probably seeing a lot of lightning flashes off to your north and west as well. Guaranteed you're going to get some rain out of this as that kind of pushes its way to the south and east. So be on guard. I know I got a lot of farmers who ask me about, hey, are we going to ever get a little rain? We just did all the planning. We're kind of done. What about some rain now? And I think we're going to finally get some of that decent rain around those parts of the area until once that line goes on through the next hour or so, next 45 minutes to an hour. So there's the warning that Efrich has popped up here. Once again, we're talking maybe dollar-sized hail. At least the potential is there for that. And of course, 60-mile-an-hour winds when it comes to that part of the storm as well. One thing we haven't gotten to with this particular line is the hail. So let's go ahead and check out some of the hail sizes that are going on. Well, let's do the probability of hail. I think that's a good idea. Okay. And just given what we're seeing from the hail alone, all this part of the storm that we're seeing here, where we saw all this crazy lightning outside of Mendota, that is moving more off to the east, okay? From that warning that we just showed you here, they're worried about this area right here. Extreme high probability of seeing some hail with that, and then it kind of scatters its main just south and east of around Geneseo. So let's find out what, oh, and before we do, then let's scroll our way to the west a little bit more. I want to get Mercer County here. Okay, there we go. And we have a potential of seeing some small hail here, just between Aledo and Alexis. And then with that warning that we just showed you, parts of Louisa going into Des Moines, some pretty good hail that may be falling there as well. Now let's go to the size of that hail, okay? And we'll kind of we'll do a zoom in here, get close here, and then we'll scroll our way eastward after that, okay? And here's the color that we see here. So we got your orange, you got that yellow, and that yellow right there, okay? So that's quarter-size hail. that is very likely falling with that in that particular storm, okay? So it just around Minneapolis, and given the movement of this, Minneapolis, you'll definitely be seeing some of that hail knocking on your rooftop here in just a little bit. Hopefully not the kind that's going to cause any roof damage. We just don't need that, okay? But that right now is a good echo that we see there, indicating some of that hail that could potentially be about quarter size. Now we make our way eastward. There's Seton and there's Aledo here. And as far as the hail size is concerned, that too can have some quarter size hail outside of Seton. That continues to make its way in that general direction, more off to the south and east. Okay, so outside of Seton, probably may graze our friends in Alexis. There is, looks like even a little green now begin to pop up. We just got an update there. So this storm could very likely be strengthening a little bit with that dark green. Maybe that could be close to golf ball size hail there. And then we got even now a little green here that's begun to pop up. A little green and then a little yellow there. That could very likely be that quarter size. And that kind of even showing maybe a little expansion here as well. So once again, this is all computerized. We don't have any, actually chasers that are saying to us, yeah, they're quarter size hail falling here or there's golf ball size hail. So we have to rely on our radar here where we can project the size of the hail that is taking place that we see here. Then let's go a little farther eastward, going into about southeastern Henry County. So here's Henry County right here. Okay, Kewaunee, Galva, you're okay right now, but there's a nice dark green there, very likely the potential of some golf ball size hail between Hoople and even on Anawan. That is likely pushing its way off to the south and east. And if we did a little zoom in even more in northwestern Bureau County, there's New Bedford right there. And like I said, if this is moving more off in this general direction, while Anawan, you may just miss out on it, Mineral as well. So that will be good news if it continues to move in that general direction, mainly in the open farmlands that we have right here. But New Bedford, we'll see how this transpires. That could be moving a bit more to the east. You may be grazed by maybe seeing a little bit of some, maybe some nickel size or even dime size hail if that part of that storm or hail core grazes your general, in your general direction. And then a little farther east as we go, of course, this is now Bureau County. And once again, there's the hail that we see with that storm and actually making its way even more off to the north and east, making its way out of Bureau County. So that is some good news there. So we've kind of broken it down now. Now let's get you up to date now of all the warnings that have been taking place across the area. Once again, a very slow moving event that has been going on here just because and as far as the information that we're getting as well, we're kind of keeping you up to date of what we have seen so far from these storms that have been taking place around the area. And we want to make sure that you are well aware of what is, if you are going to be impacted and how bad is it going to potentially be. I think we have I think that when the radio went off, I think this is the new warning that has popped up here. Yeah, that's a new warning. There we go. And that is until 8:15. That's a good hour away now to warn everyone in Galesburg. I would say even all of Rover Country. This is Rover Country right here, northern Knox County, okay? And then eastward you go into our friends in Stark County, okay? So Toulon, Bradford, right there, okay? Nothing going on in your general area. It's looking fine where you are. But you can see that just to your north and west, the skies are pretty dark in your general direction. So give it time. You got a good hour or so with those storms that make his way through here and then kind of makes his way even farther east as you go. So here's Stark, here's northern Knox County, and that is all until around 8:15. So Abingdon, Galesburg, Knoxville, you're under the gun of this particular warning until around 8:15. Right now we're looking at about quarter-size hail and some wind to go with it as well. So pretty just good line that we see here, making its way in the general direction. I would say we had to break this down even more. We're concerned about this cluster of storms that are located just south of Aledo, and let's zoom in just a little bit more if we can. Okay, there you go, perfect. Let's drag it just a little bit more off to the north and west average. There we go. So this storm that we see here, that's kind of moving off to the south and east. So let's do this. Let's put a tracker on this. We'll go from about Little York, and then we'll go north and east, I would say just around Alexis or so, and then we'll drag it south and east all the way down, I think, where Knoxville, Illinois is right here. Stretch it out even more. And then bring it up a little bit more. Perfect. Let's do it. There we go. Beautiful. And you can see around Galesburg, we're talking about, given the speed of the storm right now, I think it's probably moving about 40, 45 miles an hour or so. Over about 20 minutes from now, Galesburg, you'll be impacted by this storm. And around Knoxville, I would say under a half an hour. And around Lexus, it's getting ready to knock on your door here in just about 5 minutes or so. All right? So keep that in mind. Hopefully, you're not going out there and trying to chase the storm. Don't. The storm has already chased you. Okay? So make sure that you're in your safe place right now. Hopefully, you got some fully charged flashlights ready to go just in case the power happens to go out. And eventually, we're going to get an update on the latest of the power that may be any power outages that may be going on across the area. So let's go ahead and move this out of the way. I want to go back to around the immediate Quad Cities. I know we've been talking so much of our hometown south and east of the Quad Cities, but around the Quad Cities itself, I think everything is on the safe side right now. All right? Right? I would say the brunt of the storms are now off to the south and east. I think we're just dealing with some pretty good rain that is going on, a little lightning flash here and there, but I think the threat of severe weather in the immediate Quad Cities, I believe, is over with. Okay, so that is some fairly good news. The concern is down just south and east of the Quad Cities from around Burlington, right just north of, I would say, Monmouth, and even making its way even off to the north and east, just outside of Cambridge, just north of Kewanee right now. Getting hit right now over in Mineral and just north and west of Princeton, okay? And you can see within this particular line that we're just dealing with a lot of clusters of thunderstorms all meshed together, producing a whole lot of lightning, some nice rain here, and then some good wind. So you can see with this cluster here, making its way off to the south and east. That's going to impact Burlington. That's going to impact Aquaka. Let's kind of zoom in even more here. I'm almost at a point right now, I'm not even going to break down all the warnings just because there's so many of these polygons within polygons within polygons. It makes it very, very confusing. What we want to focus on are where these storms are, the ones that we have to be concerned about, and who is going to be impacted. So this is where we'll draw some trackers on here and time this all out for you. But before we do,
we do have a local storm report from
Yes.
Burlington. There's been reports of a funnel cloud. It was dipping up and down, but it did not touch the ground.
outside of Burlington.
Outside of
Interesting.
Burlington.
Interesting. Just do this. We'll do this. We'll briefly go to velocity mode, and then we'll go back to this reflectivity just to see. And that just came out just a second ago, didn't it?
Yes, at 7:19.
7:19. Okay, look at the clock. It happened about a couple of minutes ago. So there's Burlington right here. Little hard to detect if we're seeing this kind of couplet right here. You see what I'm just doing with my hand? I'm doing a little hook right here outside of Burlington. So I'm pretty sure we could be talking about maybe a brief little spin up going on here just outside of Burlington. Don't try and go out there and find it, folks. Okay, we got a chaser out there that has seen it. You know, he's a certified chaser, so I'll go what he's got here. I mean, because the radar beam is so far away from Burlington, that's why it looks a little pixelated. But I think we're kind of getting this kind of effect right here, right outside of Burlington, and potentially seeing that funnel cloud. Let's go back to the reflectivity then, if we can here. And then once again, we'll start with this cluster that we have here, get a little bit closer, and then we'll do some tracking on each of these, okay? Kind of give you a good projection, a timing of when those storms will be impacting you. So here's one cluster that we see here, now impacting Devon County, Iowa, and if we're just putting that tracker on, in fact, let's go all the way to Roseville. We can. All right, there we go. Like it. Yeah. Let's go ahead and pop up the Townsend. And we're in that delay mode. Okay, but we know that this particular part of the storm right here is, okay, we'll get it here with just a little, we'll try one more time here. And while Efrich is doing that, I know if anyone, I don't have my IFB on, but in the booth, if we can eventually show the camera, the Eagle Eye from our station here, and maybe we'll eventually get to the Bridgepoint camera as well. Well, there we go. So this is the Eagle Eye from our station here in Moline, and it's looking toward the the airport, you can see kind of the light flat beaming right there in the distance. That's where the QC airport is located. So visibility looking pretty good. We still got some lightning going on. Okay, it looks like still some pretty decent rain that's falling as well. But once again, I think the threat of the severe weather is over with in the immediate Quad Cities. We just like to get some very nice rain into the ground. Hopefully it's soaking in nicely as well because we really do need some of the rain that is taking place. But the worst of the storm is out of the immediate Quad Cities. And yeah, get some nice lightning in there as well. Okay, now we've got it up. Effort's got this up working again. Great. So breaking this down, West Burlington, it's getting ready to knock on your door here in just a few minutes or so. Burlington in 5 minutes. Stronghurst, less than 20 minutes. If it holds together in Kirkwood, you got 20 minutes to get to your safe place. And then if it holds together around Roseville, we're talking less than half an hour or so, okay? And Roseville is right there, just in the outer edge, okay? So that's one cluster. Let's go ahead and take this off, and eventually we'll get some information on that, what the National Weather Service is throwing out. Here's that cluster that we see here, okay? And once again, let's put another tracker on this, dragging its way. You're a pro at this, Efforts. I tell you, you got this down. Right around here, we're going to get that reflectivity here in just a little bit. Okay, and we're going to go with this cluster right here, okay, that we see here. Okay, there we go. And there, here we go. Yeah, so we got Mequon in about half an hour, Abingdon about 24 minutes, Farmington in 42 minutes, and just over 10 minutes, Galesburg, you're right there. All quiet right now in Galesburg, but that's going to change here, possibly in about just over 10 minutes or so. You're seeing some dark clouds to your north and west. You're seeing some flashes of lightning to your north and west. Okay, so it's that cluster that we're going to be watching as that makes its way off to the south and east. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Unless, Efforts, you have information on that from the National Weather Service that are... Go ahead and get that first. Let's find out a little bit there.
And so you wanted the cluster like near?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do and let's do it right about here. I would say just north of Kewaunee, and I say just northwest of Princeton. And then let's stretch that toward LaSalle, Peru, if we can. Whoop, there we go.
Let's see.
Yeah, just heard a nice little rumble of thunder just outside our station. There we go. There we go. So if it holds together, Princeton, you got about just over 15 minutes or so. LaSalle, Peru, in about a half an hour or so. Sheffield, well, you're dealing with the storm right now, okay? You're already getting some good lightning that is taking place, some good rumbles of thunder, hopefully getting some nice rain as that makes its way off to the south and east. Not worried about the Mendota information here. So let's go ahead and erase this, and then we'll go ahead and put our loop down and give you a kind of a breakdown of this particular line that makes its way south and east. So putting it all together, and just by the still images alone, we got to get an idea with these clusters, how they're moving. And no question, they're moving off to the south and east. So there's that one wave just north of Burlington. That may have some 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts with that, pushing its way off to the south and east. Here's that next wave that we see around Mercer County. That's pushing its way off to the south and east. That's why we think that wave is going to impact Galesburg, okay? That wave right there, okay? And then as we make our way into this cell that we see right on the border of Henry County and Bureau County, right about there, that wave right there, that's the one that may be impacting Princeton in the next 20 minutes or so, okay? So no question, we're going to get some nice rain out of this. There could be a little hail with this as well. A lot of lightning that may be going on, and even the potential there for some power outages that could be taking place. But rainfall, I think most of us agree, would love to see some rain. A lot of people have already put some spring planning in for the weekend, and now we need a good drink, and I think we're going to be getting that, as we've already seen in most of our hometowns just in the past couple of hours or so. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on before things kind of settle down just a little bit as we make our way in the next hour or so. So we're going to continue to stay on the air. I know we got some network programming going on, and folks, we truly, truly apologize. But when we're dealing with a situation where we're talking about maybe the potential for some damage, okay, or any type of life-threatening situation, especially with all these warnings that are going on, with all the reports that we've been getting, we want to stay on the air until we feel like the threat is gone down, okay, or is done. Okay, so that's kind of what we're focusing on here. Anywhere from the Quad Cities now, points north, points west, all is good. Okay, everything will be fine here. We're just getting some nice rain right here. But there's the clusters that we're watching here, okay? And these are going to very likely hold together as they make their way off to the south and east, just because we have a good structure going on in the atmosphere right now with these clusters that we see here that will not really break down all too much. So that's why we have all these warnings that are stretched out mainly from Burlington to Galesburg, now just outside of Kewaunee and going into around Princeton as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop up all the warnings again because these clusters that we see here, folks, mean business. I mean, we've got some very juicy air out there and some very high instability that's setting the tone for all this severe weather that has been taking place for the past couple of hours or so. So you can see now this warning that we have right here, that is going on until about, this is the one until about, I think, 8:15 or so. There we go. Yeah, that's the one until about 8:15. Surprised I can just remember some of these polygons and the timing of all these. But yeah, for Galesburg, all quiet, but Rova country, it's just getting ready to knock on your door. With this cluster that we see here, that's going to be making its way off to the south and east, okay? Look at the core. Look at all that lightning just centered just in that particular area alone. I mean, there's some tremendous amount of dynamics going on here, tremendous amount of lift. Some of these storms are way up there right now, the very tops of them, likely well below zero as far as the temperature is concerned. So that's where some of the updrafts and downdrafts that are going on within the storm, taking some of the raindrops, lifting it right back up in that colder part of the atmosphere, freezes, comes down, keeps collecting more raindrops. The circulation just keeps going until well, the stone is heavy enough that it just falls, okay? So that's why, given what we're noticing with these features that we see here, these clusters, the likelihood of hail in your hometown that are going to be impacted by certain of these towns are looking pretty high, is what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, so that's kind of watching with this storm. This is the one right here that we're keeping an eye on, now getting ready to batter Burlington, Biggsville, and even right there, around, let's see here. Let's kind of move in a little bit more into this one because this is really impressive with this cluster that we see here. A little bending that we're noticing right here, likely some pretty strong winds rushing down from the storm itself. There we go. There's the storm that we see right here. That one is just racing its way off to the south and east, so it will be impacting pretty much all of Henderson County in Illinois here in just a little bit. It's getting ready to cross over the river. So around Biggsville and Burlington, keep that in mind. You're going to be definitely impacted by that particular storm. And there's that cluster that we see now making its way around the Alexis area, just east of Little York, just out of town, just north and west of Galesburg right now with that wave that we see here. And then farther north and east as you go, right around the Henry County, Bureau County area, that cluster that you see here. In fact, another that we're kind of seeing with these two kind of almost working together here. This cluster here, this cluster there, kind of driving its way more to the south and east. So Princeton, you're not going to get away from this one. I mean, it would be nice to get right in the middle there, but with all this lightning going, you'll definitely be impacted by that storm here in just a little bit. So everything on that line that we're dealing with here, strong winds and even some hail coming out, not just some of the heavy rain as well.
And the warning that we're showing right now to 8:30, that was the one that was just issued a few moments ago by the National Weather Service. Okay,
so what they likely have done here is, and I can see with that, is it this box?
It's the 8:30 box.
Right. Yeah. I'm just finding out where the polygon is with this. It looks like this polygon right here.
It includes Henry Borough and Hillsborough County, and it includes
probably.
Oh, it's just Borough and Henry County. Those are the only two that's included in the severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay. So this one is until 8:30. That one is until 8:30. I'm not really worried about, just by looking at this radar average, I would say in southeastern Henry County, it doesn't really look that bad. That's good. That would be good. But I think these storms, you can see with the lightning how it kind of trickles its way to the south and east. So that gives us an idea as to how this particular storm cluster is moving. So I would say we're looking at, in this general area with this storm, let's zoom in a little bit here in Bureau County if we can. Okay, and we can get some more towns in there. Tuscarawas is going to be in this. There's Tuscarawas right there, and there's Sheffield. Okay, so this right here is going to try and let's see, kind of finger its way in this general direction right here. So likely we're going to see this storm kind of move like this and impact Sheffield, Princeton, and even around Tuscarawas. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's put a tracker, I would say, from here to all the way just north of Deposit. Either from Deposit here in that general, okay, perfect. Keep going. There you go. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try and do that. We'll get Deposit here in just a little bit here. But you can see Princeton, now we're talking about less than 10 minutes for you. Tuscarawas, just over 10 minutes for you as well for that storm. And I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and take this off now. I think that looks pretty good when we're talking about these clusters that we see right here pushing their way off to the south and east. So no question we're getting some nice lightning, some pretty good rain. Let's find out what's going on as far as the probability of hail with this particular line. And yeah, we're getting a little bit of hail going on here. Not as impressive as what it was, I would say, about maybe 20 minutes ago or so. But right now, good probability we're seeing some hail with this. A little bit more extreme, maybe just north and west of Sheffield, right there off of Interstate 80. So taking a look at the hail size, we'll get a good idea of what we have going on here. Let's see where we got hail size-wise. I don't think it's going to be that impressive. And this is kind of a good sign, folks, because now we're noticing that as far as the hail size is concerned, it's beginning to drop. That means we're very likely in a stage where we're starting to see more of a downdraft in the storms than a strong updraft and a downdraft. Okay, so that is some fairly good news. So we may be just dealing with a situation here where we're dealing with just a lot of lightning that's going on and maybe a good rush of wind. Let's go to the velocity here, and then we'll make our way to the south and west, because we could be in a situation right here where, let's see here, where we're not dealing with so much wind with this. If I had to, by looking at the radar alone here, I would say with this warning that we have until 8:30 for northern Bureau County, that's a pretty intense wind that's going on outside of Walnut, okay? And that's pushing its way off, generally off to the east. So watching this in the Lamoille, I think you could get a good rush of wind with this storm right here. But I'm not now worried about the hail. Maybe a good rush of wind out of this as well as some lightning. And then you can see we make our way more south and west. Doesn't look too impressive that we see here. Maybe some good hail. But let's go even farther south and west since we are dealing with, since we're on the velocity mode. And what really gets, this is more impressive right here, okay? That's a lot of wind that's coming down from this storm that we see here. That is a lot of wind. And that is a storm that doesn't have much hail with it, but we're likely getting some strong winds, maybe around 60 miles an hour or so. This is until about 8 p.m. for this particular warning that we see. Once again, this is radar indicated, but when we start seeing those brighter colors pop up, that white now within the red itself, that's a sure sign that these winds are coming down from the storm, all right? Not so much kind of turning where we would see green and red, okay? Usually this is an indication of a good maybe straight line wind or thunderstorm wind gusts that's coming down out of the storm just north and east of Monmouth, and just you can see just west of Henderson, but also just north and west of Galesburg. So hopefully there aren't any for our neighbors in Galesburg and such, or friends in Galesburg. Hopefully you don't have any small objects, or for the kids maybe having their toys outside, because those can be projectiles when it comes to these type of strong winds that are taking place. Okay, so good idea. Hopefully you got those small objects in, maybe some of the potted hanging plants that you might have just picked up. Maybe a good idea to take those down real quick if you can and put them near the house, or actually bring them indoors. Okay, that would probably be a good thing. I always seem to forget that. At least when I tell my wife, I always seem to forget that, to get that in. She always seems to know right off the bat when we talk about winds, get those hanging plants in or bring them near the house. That's what we always say. So that's a lot of wind coming from this storm. Once again, for all of most of Knox County, that severe thunderstorm warning for until about 8:15. So we're right now at 7:38 right now. So we're definitely over half an hour for this warning as these storms continue to make their way off to the south and east. And then we have this huge warning that is out for Henderson, Warren counties, and then points southward into Hancock and McDonough. That is until around 8 p.m. And we're kind of keeping an eye on this line of wind that is going on. Once again, this is velocity mode here, showing these winds that we see here just north of Fort Madison and Dallas City, and looks like just around Stronghurst, seeing those storms. This is, I think, just given the lightning that we saw in here, if we went back to reflectivity, let's go to reflectivity first, and then make our way down around Burlington. That's the storm cluster we're keeping an eye on right here, okay? A lot of lightning going on here, some pretty good rain, but you can see the bending that we have right here as an indication of some very strong winds that are taking place. You can see just outside of Stronghurst right now, you know that the sky is just black to your north and west. And you can see probably some of that lightning that is going on. You're hearing the rumbles of thunder, okay? It's coming your way. So keep in mind, this is a storm that has already produced some very strong winds from this cluster alone, and that's gonna be getting ready to impact you in just a couple of minutes or so, okay? And you can see some of that activity even stretches its way back into Hendry County, Iowa. As well, okay? So once again, this is certainly a threat to be considered with this system as it makes its way off to the south and east. So once again, it's all about all this extremely warm and humid air that we haven't felt since really last year. And combine that with at least boundary nearby, no surprise that we are seeing all this crazy activity takes place, and all the polygons, all these warnings that are popping up as well, because some of the storms either have been moving around 20 miles an hour, some of the storms have been moving around 45 miles an hour, and they're kind of intertwined within these polygons that are going on here. But it can be very confusing as well. So that's why we kind of focus more on the clusters and show you the direction of each of these than just going through each of these warnings. There's no purpose behind that so much. We can only tell you where the storms are, who's being impacted right now, and when these storms will be arriving, okay? The only reason we'll keeping these polygons out is to tell you when the threat is actually all said and done. So with this warning that we have right here, we got another 20 minutes or so. This may be canceled and eventually extend its way more south and east if this cluster, and I do believe it will, hold together as this makes its way into parts of McDonough and even around Hancock counties in Illinois. So let's go and put our loop into motion here if we can. Any more updates? I've been hearing a lot of little jingle bells going on from the National Weather Service. I wonder if we've been getting some added reports from them.
Yes, they're continuing severe thunderstorm warnings. That's what we're mostly getting is updates about that what we're experiencing. We're getting some wind gust reports. Burlington got gusts up to 54, about 55, 56 miles per hour. So that's all that we are getting. Just some hail reports. We're seeing lots of about half size, half an inch, quarter size hail. We see that in Des Moines County. That's a county that had reports of half a quarter size hail. As you make your way further down to the south, near Macomb, they had hail of half a size. You have nickel size hail. In Jefferson County and Henry County, we got hail up to just a little shy of 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So that's what we're seeing from the National Weather Service. And of course, they're going to be continuing these severe thunderstorm warnings as well. We do see with the satellite and radar, those storms are making its way further down to the south and to the east, moving at a slow direction. We're still seeing gusts up to about 60, 70 miles per hour. These are radar indicated gusts that we're seeing with these systems that have caused for the severe thunderstorm warnings to be issued. Hail, we're seeing around an inch. So that's just the National Weather is disturbing. Power-wise, we're still around the same. Mercer County has seen a slight increase in power outages. We are now at 226. Earlier when I had talked about power outages. They were in the 100s, so they're seeing an increase in that. We're now adding Silvis to the map. Silvis, now they have 2 people without power. Here in the immediate Quad Cities, you're seeing a slight increase. We went from 5 people in Bettendorf, now 8 people don't have power in Bettendorf. In Davenport, as you can see, we had 25 earlier when I spoke, and now we're up to 27. So we're seeing a slight increase in that. Eldridge, we're still having power outages, just 1 power outage that is occurring at the moment. The severe thunderstorm warning, the National Weather Service has continued that for Des Moines in Henry County until 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. So that's about 15 more minutes happening here in the Quad Cities. Bringing up the map overall, we do see a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings still happening, still lightning occurring here with this system. We are kind of starting to see a little bit of decrease in hail. Like I said, that's a good thing. Mount Pleasant still seeing some high amounts of hail probability. Looking at our hail size, oranges and some yellows. Galesburg, just a little bit north of you guys, we are seeing hail sizes up to about 1.5 to about 1.75 inches. That's a little bit to the west of Henderson County. So we're seeing a little bit of strengthening in that. Earlier, we just saw yellows and oranges. Now we're seeing the greens on there. That's around golf ball size hail. With this system making its way into the area. That was the National Weather Service letting us know that it's continuing the severe thunderstorm warnings for Bureau County. That's happening, Mercer County, Des Moines County. That's occurring. They did cancel the severe warning for Henry County. That has just been updated. It is continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for Bureau County.
Okay, very good, Efridge, very good. Well, once again, that's the, right now, when called the clusters of storms that's going on right now, that's the one that has a real good chance of producing maybe close to golf ball size hail, okay? So that's just outside of Alexis, south of Henderson, and with Galesburg, there's Galesburg right there. So you may actually get caught in some of that hail that may be approaching your general direction. Hopefully it begins to kind of fade before it actually gets there. You have some information that just popped up.
No, the growth. I just said wow, because when we were showing it, we saw it expand.
Expand a little bit.
The green, and now we see even like the lighter of greens.
Right, and kind of by the reflectivity, we saw how it was growing as well. So that storm's certainly not giving up, and really no surprise about that. And then, so that's a storm that we just showed you right here. So this is where we're very likely dealing with some very heavy rain, but also some hail as well. And you can see its relationship to Galesburg. This is all Rova country right here, okay? And the storm is moving kind of in this general direction. So you're definitely going to be in the bear of this system right here, folks. And if you're in Galesburg, with this particular storm, that's making its way off to the south and east. And they just mentioned that this is a considerable threat, damaging threat, given the winds that are coming down from this particular storm, as well as some of the hail. So that's why it's a good idea not to go outside and watch this thing. Just ride it out. And hopefully we are not going to deal with any type of power outages or anything like that with this storm. But this is what we're being concerned about with that storm as it makes its way into the Galesburg area. And this is also part of that warning that's going on until about 8:15, so a good half an hour before all clear is given with this storm. Just because of the movement and all, that's why the warning is out for a fairly long period of time, but only because we want to make sure that everyone is getting a fair warning with the storm, especially around Knoxville where things are rather quiet. But I know our friends in Knoxville are looking off to the north and east and seeing the darkening skies, seeing some of the lightning, and very likely maybe seeing even that greenish color. Sometimes people think that's a sign of maybe hail. Yeah, maybe given the way the light is kind of refracting or bending a little bit. That could be what we're maybe witnessing in the clouds just north and west of the Knoxville area. So a pretty impressive storm system that we see here. Now that's, like I said, the second one that's producing some pretty intense weather. We just talked about the one just outside of Burlington, making its way into Henry County, just off to the south and west, kind of zooming out just a little bit so viewers can see what we're talking about. And you can see right there, that's a strong cluster of storms that are going on, now making its way into Henderson County, and likely will impact Roseville, given the next, I would say, half an hour or 40 minutes. given the speed. And if I tell you, Roseville, you've just been hammered. You had some big storms last night, especially just outside of town. You had some, maybe even a tornado warning you had about like an hour and a half ago or so. And now you got one more wave to go, one more wave, and then things will eventually calm down after that. So this is storm cluster number 1. This is storm cluster number 2 right here. And then as we make our way into Henry County, okay, there we go. And there's like around, and we'll make our way into Bureau County. There's a little mini cluster right here outside of Kewaunee. Galva is right here. So you're very likely, guys, going to be seeing that storm make its way in your general direction. And then as we head into Bureau County, you can see where we got the around the northern half of Bureau County. We're dealing with a good cluster of storms. You can see this really hasn't changed all too much. And then we got this one warning that's way out to the east, outside of our viewing area. Of course, that may have the potential of producing maybe a tornado. But with this right here, this is a pretty broad cluster of storms that are working together here and moving very slowly off to the south and east, just outside of Buda, and you can see now getting ready to enter its way into Princeton, Illinois, and then farther north and east, Mendota. You're just getting nailed with all the lightning going on here from that storm as that makes its way off toward the east. So once again, very dangerous situation as is going on. I know we're getting some viewers who are concerned about, should we be taking shelter or not? You know what? Yes, you should be. If you're hearing the sirens, that means that that these storms have produced some type of damage or is a threat to life. It's a threat to your property as well. So that is why these warnings are out across areas off to our south and east. A lot more ringing going on from the National Weather Service.
Yes, we did have a severe thunderstorm that has been issued until 8:45. This will include Des Moines County. This will include Hancock County. This will include Warren County.
Yep.
Yes.
I think it's this one right here. Once again, it's so challenging when you're dealing with so many polygons within polygons around here. But I think what they're dealing with here is they've enhanced the warning from this to now extending even more off to the south and east, okay, with this. So let's drag this down even more if we can. There we go. And this is the cluster of storms that they're watching here. It doesn't look too impressive, but that may be in a developing stage where these storms are now growing around La Harpe, just outside of Fort Madison and Donaldson. I think these storms are starting to grow now. Maybe from the air that's coming down from the storm is taking some of the very warm and humid air ahead of it and now lifting it. Okay, because that more air is a lot lighter from that cooler air coming down from the storm, it's allowing to lift and create maybe some of this action ahead of the line itself that we could be dealing with here. So that's probably why they extended those warnings out in areas off to our south and east. Some local reports going on around Lee County, Iowa, had a wind gust estimated around 60 miles an hour. Once again, with those winds around 60 miles an hour, that could certainly cause some damage. Also got a report out of Tipton in Cedar County of a large tree that has fallen on a shed, mainly because of those winds that were estimated between 60 and even around 70 miles an hour or so. Okay, so once again, here are the storms that we're keeping an eye on that we see here, already impacting the Princeton area, and really the one that, that we're focusing on here are these two right here. We'll just zoom in a little bit here. And here's the warning that we see right here, keeping a close watch on the timing. Approaching 7 o'clock right now. You can see Roseville, you get ready. You're going to be banged up again here with these storms that will make their way off to the south and east. And now Galesburg, now you're getting hit. And let's go to the velocity mode here, and we'll try to zoom in into Knox County if we can. And once again, the radar, the velocity mode, is trying to pick up from the core of the radar beam itself, which is out of the National Weather Service in Mount Joy. Okay, so we're getting kind of a little pixelation going on here. But here is Knox County. You can see a little white here, shade around Rover country. This is all Rover country right here, okay? This is all rover country right there. And this is where we're getting some pretty strong wind gusts now taking place. But really, I think it's this line now developing quickly right around the Abingdon area. We're going to very likely extend maybe another warning out for the rest of Knox County here, maybe possibly in just a little bit. But a lot of development now taking place ahead of those storms that are now making its way through the Galesburg area and putting up the, let's see, what was it? The
reflectivity?
Yeah, let's do the hail mode here, because we're concerned about kind of all the storms that are going on. This is the one that has a good chance of producing some large hail. And there it is, yeah. And no surprise, we kind of thought that at least the hail core would be advancing its way through Galesburg. We can even go closer if we can. Interstate 74 is right there. Okay, there's Interstate 74. There's 150 right here, I believe. No, I'm sorry, what am I saying? That's, I think, is 67 right here. And you can see right now, just outside of town, now making its way into the Galesburg area. It could be getting, given what we're seeing here, there is some yellow and maybe just a little touch of that green right there, under an inch. So we're very likely talking about maybe some dime size or even nickel size that may be possibly being noticed right there, right near, in fact, around Seminary Street right there outside the Galesburg area. But that's the storm now impacting you with some pretty good lightning as well. There is a possibility we could get some brief power outages with this particular storm if we go back to the reflectivity, because there's still a good cluster of lightning that is taking place here with that storm that we see. The Quad Cities, okay, everything is kind of winding down. Maybe some isolated lightning strikes that are taking place as well. But once again, there is that cluster that we see right here, continuing to make its way off to the south and east. So that's one cluster. Of course, the other cluster that we have just outside of the Burlington area, now making its way into Henderson County. This is Henderson County right here, and you can see we're kind of getting that wave now making its way off to the south and east, and eventually will be impacting Roseville here in just a little bit. Not as intense as what we saw in about last 5 minutes or so, but nonetheless, a good rush of wind that will eventually be impacting Roseville in just a little bit here, just making sure that we're not seeing any increasing strength from this little cluster that we see here, but we can get an idea just by the reflectivity itself. We don't even have to go to velocity mode here, but right here, we're very likely talking about a good rush of wind right there, just around the Henderson and Warren County border, and that really has a beeline right toward Roseville itself. Already getting some strikes ahead of the cluster itself, then which is usually a sign of how the storm is moving. So that's kind of what we're seeing right here with that line. So Roseville, you're definitely in the bullseye of that part of the storm as it makes its way off to the south and east.
The National Weather Service has expired some severe thunderstorm warnings. Now we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, so there are some overlapping. The first severe thunderstorm warning that has been expired is for Henderson, Henry, Mercer, and Warren County. We also have a second severe thunderstorm warning that has been expired for Des Moines and Henry County. We do have some crossing happening, so that's why I did say Henry County 2 times, but we do have expiring severe thunderstorm warnings issued by the National Weather Service just a few moments ago.
All right, thank you very much, Efridge. And also I'm getting some viewer pictures. A good friend of mine, Joe, is from his backyard. And Joe, you have a great lawn. The lawn looks great, by the way, buddy. Beautiful double rainbow that is actually going on just out around the Quad Cities itself. So thanks, Joe, for sending that in. Really appreciate that. Of course, that's always a nice way to, oh, and there we go. Look at that. I wonder, can we actually zoom out a little bit more? We might be able to get this whole rainbow effect. That's really impressive. You can see that rainbow. If you want to pop me up too, I can actually, if people are having a hard time trying to see what this rainbow is. My goodness, what a great shot of uptown in Moline, and that rainbow you can see just barely, just right in the middle. There it is. So it's right here, and then stretching his way off the board, arching his way even farther west. So pretty good shot right there. Nice job, Jeff. I think Jeff Jackson, our director, getting that shot for us. So awesome picture right there with the passage of this storm.
Walk
Oh, you want me to?
walk
Okay,
off, yeah.
I will do that. Okay, thank you. Because I do not have my IFB in, so thank you for bringing that up. But nice job there, Joe. Really appreciate that for sending that rainbow in. Just to verify that, even from our eagle eye on top of our station here at WQAD News 8 in Moline. So you can see. Go ahead. Yes. Okay. So I can go and walk. Okay. Excellent. Get in the queue. I can walk back in. All right. So once again, the threat is pretty much coming to an end here. As far as these storms are concerned, we're going to be eventually going back to programming, hopefully in just a little bit from now. But once again, we want to let everyone know that we'll continue to see these warnings going on for just a little bit longer. The cluster that we see here, that's the one that will eventually be making its way through Roseville, where we're going to get maybe some rain out of this, maybe a little bit of hail. But nothing has intensified from this at all, so that is some fairly good news. And then once again, here's Galesburg right here, seeing a good cluster of some lightning taking place, and with it maybe some small hail going on with that cell. And you can see the blinking that's going on, indicating some of the heavy rain and maybe some of that wind that may be close to 60 miles an hour or so, stretching its way into northern Knox County, also going to Stark County. I think Stark County, Toulon, Bradford, I think you're going to be just fine. Okay, I think things are looking pretty good for you guys. Kewaunee, let's go up to Bureau County right here. And like I said, I think we'll be able to go to network here in maybe about 5 minutes or so, okay? As we approach the 8 o'clock hour. But from Kewaunee, I think Neponset, you guys are like right there. I think you're fine. You're all good. Buda, I think you're all good as well. And then further east, you can see the nice cluster of storms that we see from Princeton all the way into Mendota. Once again, stay indoors. Don't try and go out in the elements that we're dealing with right here, because we're getting some pretty good lightning here that is taking place. Once again, lightning is right up there as far as the big killer when it comes to severe weather. So once again, with all the lightning taking place, we could be even talking about some brief power outages going on in parts of Bureau County and then stretching its way off to the north and east. One more thing I want to show before we go back to network is show the radar loop if we can, Efridge. And then Efridge is going to eventually at 10 o'clock we're going to get an update on all the reports that have taken place. And we've got tons of reports from wind damage to hail damage that has taken place, and also we'll find out about the rainfall amounts, because that's one thing that we have been lacking in the past couple of weeks is some good rain, and we've certainly seen that in a lot of our hometowns, given these storms that have really popped up. But these are the only cells that we're really kind of focusing on, just getting ready to make its way into southern Warren County, that one around Galesburg, and then points south and east. Fortunately, it looks like these storms that we see now around Bureau County, just by the reflectivity alone, are kind of falling apart. But nonetheless, some nice lightning going on here with this wave. And I would say that given the speed that we have here, now that we're at 8 o'clock, I would say give it another, I would say, hour and a half or close to 2, and then this wave will be already rushing out of here off to the south and east, allowing the rest of the night to be fairly quiet. But keep in mind, I think we still may be seeing another wave develop going into about Monday, and I think that could be more in the first half of the day going into Monday before we see some much calmer skies as we go through the rest of the work week. And we're not getting rid of all this tropical weather like we felt today. It won't be around 90 degrees, but it will certainly feel very summer-like as we make our way to next week, with temperatures still expected to make their way around the low, even mid-80s for daytime highs. Next chance of wet weather will very likely make its way into about the end of the work week, possibly Friday, and going into Mother's Day weekend. Like I said, Efridge will give us all the details on that coming up on News 8 at 10. We'll go ahead and take you back to programming. Unless we see any more updates that take place, we'll let you know right here on News 8.
You treat me like I'm a